Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I want to thank you so very much for checking out this video. Please watch it in its entirety. I'm going to hit you hard tonight. I'm going to be down with it. I am on a mission, and that mission is to represent what I have seen. Many of you believe in God. The foundation of your belief was set in the stories that you heard. The earth's existence, you couldn't justify it any other kind of way because you know man had nothing to do with it. And all the things that the earth can do, you know man had nothing to do with it. And as far as human beings on the earth, the original ones, the first ones, we don't know where that happened. We can recognize the process for the continuation, but the beginning is foreign to us. And this basically is the beginning, the foundation, or is engaged in the foundation of why we, as a people in America, believe in God. And I'm sure other people in other parts of the world got some that they believe in, and it's probably built on the same kind of foundation, if not the same. But what I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, is that I know that there's a God. In the book they say there's a God, and I'm satisfied with that. In the book they say they made God look like a man. I'm not satisfied with that, because when I saw the evidence of God, I saw the evidence. I didn't see anything else but the evidence. And the way I know it is God is that no human being could do it. So I give it to God, and I didn't see anything except the evidence. Now, you say, what kind of evidence? I'm going to say that most people understand that if a plane is flying with hundreds of passengers, and if that plane crashed, and all of a sudden, out of whatever the horrendous situation might be, there's one survivor. Most people would say that was God. And if that one that was saved didn't die, would probably, if old enough, conscious enough, would say God as well. So I, my friends, speak to you as one who knows God. And I think knowing God, as far as I'm concerned, is beneficial to you. Because the way that God revealed himself to me in my relationship with God relationship, you know, nothing in between. Nothing. Just me and God. It was an expression of love. And I know humankind don't do that. So I recognize this as God. And so God was showing me love to say that I exist because of God. And that knowing that, why wouldn't I want to represent in my living the kind of love that was revealed to me at that moment and at that time? Sure, we live in a world that's contradictory to that kind of love. But I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this. It's time we stop jiving. Either we have respect for God or we don't. And if we have respect for God, we must act like it. If we do not act like it, it is the evidence. You can say I'm fearful or anything, any excuse you want to come up with. But if that excuse is powerful enough to have you deny God, then you don't know God. So I'm going to say, I'm calling all people to come out of wherever you are. If you're in the world, come out of the world, whatever that means to you. If you're in churches, come out of those churches, whatever that means to you. Come out of those mega churches, whatever that means to you. If you love God, and I'm calling you out of those because they have no problem with the world the way it is and their understanding of God. And that understanding of God has allowed this hell to exist. And nobody seems to know anything about it. And the evidence is in that. And so I'm calling to those of you who want to claim that you are Stand up. Now, you ask me what makes me want to call you. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this love that God showed me is real. And to get that message to you, that God loves you, I have gone, committed violations against the state, violations against the federal government. I have done a lot of things to get your attention, to let you know a message that you have resisted, a message that the powers that be have made sure that you haven't heard. But that message I want to say to you today is this: there is a God responsible for all of us, and yet all of us were born, as it were, in sin, in ignorance, in absence of the knowledge and the spirit of truth of God. And so we've been shaped and folded and molded in this situation. And we are that. And for us to change away from that, it would absolutely take a miracle. And that miracle is called being born again. And being born again means changing your mind from all the trash that you have been taught since the beginning of time for you. Now, what do you consider trash? Trash is all of that stuff that denies the benefits of life. And what is life? Life is the fulfillment of dreams. That is life. And it is basically set up on a foundation beginning with those things that are common amongst every human being on earth for survival: food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare. These are above oxygen and blood and body. These things God gave to you, but the others require that we do that. And we can only do that if we care about one another, if we would do unto others as we would have others do unto us. And we can only do that, we can only conjure up that thought if we have a relationship with God. And being born again shows you what life is, and you see what the anti-life is. By seeing the two, you make a choice. The choice, if you choose God, is that the way of God is the way you walk. Yes, it's the way you walk. You cannot say you a child of God in hell, walking like you in hell. If you're a child of God, you in hell, you walk like you in heaven. That's the truth. I might sound like I'm angry with you. I might be. Because you claiming to be all of this and all of that, and you walking just... Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, that in America, they went and voted for evil and put it in the White House? It doesn't matter whether it was Miss Clinton or Donald Trump. They stood before you, and the public and every voice that could be heard, real or fake, told you that these were no good devils. They talked about Donald Trump. Most of you already figured what Donald Trump was. Donald Trump can't even hide it. Miss Clinton, they saw all the stuff that she's connected with. Most of you never heard of her before. But for those of you who are curious, you found out all kinds of stuff. Is it true or not? They didn't denounce it. They denounced it when it was in court if they got there. But it was never settled in your minds. And when it was brought up, nobody was being sued. They didn't want to draw attention to it, perhaps. So what am I saying to you? They put before you evil. And everybody in the world, even when you voted for Sanders, Sanders was fake. If he had not been fake, there's no way he would join the Clinton team. And these other people, I don't know whether they were fake or not. You weren't paying them any attention. And the attention was put on evil. And I was checking you out. And you did. Church people, you bought into that, the lesser of two evils. Yes, and that's okay. But I want you to know that's because you have the mindset of the world. That is not God. And so I'm standing here before you today, and I'm calling those of you out who say you love God. And what is our mission? Our mission is to make sure that every human being in America and every human being on the face of the earth have those necessary essentials that every one of them have for survival. Requirements. Food. Not a person on this dead blasted earth, according to the work that I have been given to share it with you, be hungry. Not a single person on the face of this earth will be homeless. Not a single person on the face of this earth will be denied education that enables them to be whatever it is, better. Not a single person on the face of this earth will be denied health care. Not a single one. And we will have the best health care system that the world can bring up. The best education system the world can bring up. The best housing system the world can bring up. And the best food. That GMO stuff got to go. We have the best food that we can come up with in this world. And how do we do all that? How do we do all of this stuff that I just said that God wants us to do? Well, first of all, we know that the materials are already in the earth or on the earth or above the earth, seen or unseen. We already know that. Because everything that are required for our human existence is being met. It's just that not all people get it. So, we're going to, in this mission, make sure that everybody gets it. And how do we do that? Well, the plan that comes from the Master that we can't see, but will bring us this peace and this prosperity and joy that we so eagerly desire, says that each of us, each human being in America, each human being on the globe, have a desire to do something, to be somebody. And where would they be that somebody at? In their country, in their home, in their world. This is where they be somebody. And that somebody that they be means that they have a career of their own choosing, something inside of them that gives them their greatest pleasure in participating. And everything else is just icing on the cake. What are they doing? They are creating food. They are creating housing. They are creating education. They are creating health care. They are creating transportation systems beyond our Father's imagination. They are creating whatever they are doing, going to the moon, going to wherever in the universe they want to go. This is where they are contemplating on, ladies and gentlemen. And it has been set up in such a way that the only thing that could prevent us from doing this and being successful in it is we ourselves. Now, if we ever think that we are more than somebody else and start ripping them off, lying, cheating, stealing, and killing, bullying, then we aren't worth, we are demons. I don't care if you are an American. If you lie, cheat, and steal, and kill, I don't care if you are a beggar in the street or president of the United States. If that's what you done, you ain't worth the salt go in your bread. But then all of us falls in that category. All of us fall in that category. And even being born again, where we see the light, when we see the way, we still got to pull off the way we had. Because believe you me, it's still in you. So you got to fight that stuff off. Don't think it's just gone. No, you just know the difference and you make the choice, but it's still there. So I'm not trying to knock you about the realities of life. I'm just trying to show you how to get out of it. So what we doing? We want to change the world. Make it heavenly. Where everybody's dream come true. And we call that God because only God would want that. Human beings want it for themselves, and to hell with you. And since they don't know the way of God, they figure the only way to do it is to lie, cheat, steal, and rip you off. That's what has been happening to human beings ever since we've been on the face of the earth. Somebody's been lying, cheating, stealing, killing, and ripping the people off. And they were ripped off because they didn't know God. And the ones who said they knew God didn't know God. Do you know that most people in America, I don't know about the rest of the world, when they talk about God, they think that money came from heaven? They talk about Jesus and paying taxes and all this kind of stuff. They think that money is the way that you transact business. That's the way of the world. God don't do that. I don't need no money. I don't need no taxes, no interest, no debt, no credit. What's wrong with y'all? You don't have a poor understanding of God. But I'm calling those of you who are real out from amongst them, somebody says there's 144,000 people in heaven, you start thinking about the billions and billions of people that you can imagine have been living on the earth. How could it end up being 144,000? I can tell you how. Because people don't know God. They don't know God. You don't. I'm gonna put it this way: you don't know God. You don't know God. Now you mad, but you don't. I'm just gonna leave it right there. You don't know God. I think I'll call this tape, "You Don't Know God." Now, you look at some of my other videos, and I will share with you some enlightenment, and it's all for the glory and the benefit of not just the American people, but the people of the world. And the only one that can bring that about is God, and those vessels that God can use. And the only ones that would try to prevent God from achieving the things that I have just shared with you, and God will be showing you to do, is the enemy of God. It might be your brother, it might be your mother, it might be your husband, it might be your wife, it might be your church, it might be your community, it might be your government. But God says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." And if you want the glory and the peace and the joy of God that can only be given by God and the world can't take it away, you got to become born again. And I'm telling you, that's for real. Bye-bye.